Got my eyes straight ahead, got my head in the game. With the red light on, I'm just waiting for the change. Keep my head down low.
We've created a huge problem for ourselves here in Australia. We've created generations that don't respect authority, that don't apply any kind of discipline to their lives, that constantly look for an excuse to their own bad behavior, and are constantly offering up this version that they are a victim of some sort, and they are not willing to pay for the price for their actions. But our society, us as a whole, we as a whole, Australia, have created this mess that we've got. And our justice system has lost sight of the fact that sending someone to jail, giving someone a jail sentence, is not just about reform. It is also about punishment. Punishment for behavior that does not fit into our society, that does not belong in our society. If you make decisions that endanger the lives of other people, you purposely make these decisions, well, then you should not be able to find excuses to not go to jail. The justice system should not be looking for excuses to not give you a prison sentence. So this story here, Rani Paige Lowry to serve no time in custody over drink driving crash into Greens MP Amy McMahon. So she was heavily intoxicated when the driver she sped through a red light at a busy Brisbane intersection, leaving a local politician with a traumatic brain injury. She's not going to serve any time. And this is her here, the young lady. So heavily intoxicated, former Greens MP Amy McMahon was left comatose with serious injuries, including blood clots to her brain and a carotid artery dissection after the horror crash in February 12, 2024. Despite her injuries, Dr. McMahon made a generous, they classify it as generous, I think it was naive, silly, generous plea through her victim impact statement as the driver responsible's sentence on Friday not to send them to jail. The court was told Rani Paige Lowry, 27, of Moorooka, had run a red light at the intersection of Main Street and Baines Road in Kangaroo Point about 6:30 p.m, while over 3 times the legal alcohol limit. Now, let me tell you, as someone who pulled up quite a few drink drivers, if you're that far over the legal limit, that's not just making a mistake by, oh, you know what, instead of having 1 beer, you've had 2 beers and not enough to eat, and you think you're okay. You've made a fairly concerted effort to get into the car, because you, at that stage, if you're over 3 times the limit, you're swaying. You can usually barely walk properly. You know, you've definitely got slurred speech. You know you're intoxicated and you shouldn't be driving. The Moorooka chef had been driving her mother's uninsured Hyundai i30 southbound on Main Street more than 20 k's over the 60 k speed limit when she struck Dr. McMahon's Toyota Prius. Crown Prosecutor Luke Smoothie told the court Lowry had accelerated speeds of up to 90 kilometres in the seconds prior to the collision, striking Dr. McMahon. She would have sped up to that so she could, in her mind, she could run the light safely. So she's made these decisions. It's not just an accident. So she's striking Dr. McMahon, who had been working in her role as an MP that night at a speed of 83 kilometres an hour. She's hit her at 83. Wow. CCTV captured Dr. McMahon's Prius spin about 180 degrees from the collision. Lowry was found to have a blood alcohol content of 0.186 following the crash. McMahon was hospitalised for 2.5 weeks and was in a brain injury rehabilitation unit. The court heard she suffered post-traumatic amnesia and was unable to form memories. Smoothie said without hospitalisation, Dr. McMahon would have been at serious risk of neurological deterioration, and that would have led to her death. Lowry pleaded guilty in April to dangerous operation of a vehicle causing grievous bodily harm, while adversely affected, and was sentenced on Friday to 3 years jail with immediate parole. Immediate parole. There's a picture of the crash right there if you're following this. McMahon did not attend Friday's sentence in person, but Judge David Kent noted the rare compassion she had shown in her statement. I would put it to you, it's extremely misguided compassion. She thinks she's doing this. Sorry, yeah, the doctor thinks that she is doing this young Lowry a service. She's actually doing her a disservice. Very generously, it says towards the start that in some ways it has enriched her life, Judge Kent said. Smoothie told the court Dr. McMahon had stated that justice for her is Ms. Lowry's genuine rehabilitation. If there is support, you need to make sure you never, ever, for the rest of your life, do something like this again. So remember this, you never do something like this again, and you need support. I'm willing to help, he quoted. Despite Dr. Mahn's request, Smoothie said that Lowry should serve up to 6 months in actual custody, considering the devastating consequences. Defense barrister Jack Kennedy, instructed by Bevan lawyers, said his client stopped driving by choice after the crash and had struggled with feelings of remorse and shame. It's a big struggle. You've got feelings. I'm struggling with my feelings. He tendered a letter of apology that Lowry had written in response to McMahon's victim impact statement. There's a picture of the doctor there near the car. Kennedy said Lowry had relapsed. This was a relapse by Lowry, the one who was drunk. She'd relapsed into alcohol dependency and depression following an unexpected death in her family 5 months prior to the collision. 5 months. Isn't it amazing that the excuses that these people, that some generations come up with, that some people come up with? I mean, if you're going to be able to call back to, you've had a loss in your family 5 months ago, and this is the reason you've made a definite decision to get behind the wheel, highly intoxicated, and yet you can blame it on the death of a family member. Well, then what hope do any of us have? Like, just about every third person in the world could have the excuse, oh, well, I had a death in the family 5, 6 months ago now, and I've still been getting over that. So this is why I got behind the wheel, highly intoxicated. He said she wasn't drinking for the thrill of it or the excitement. It doesn't excuse it, but had been attempting to ease her anxiety. She describes having a panic attack and deciding to flee, which is why she drove at the time. All this, to me, just means she's made the decision. She wasn't so intoxicated she didn't know what she was doing. She was intoxicated, trying to fight, supposedly, she's trying to fight the depression because of a death in her family, an unexpected death 5 months earlier. But she made the decision to get behind the wheel. She wasn't driving for the thrill of it. She was driving to ease the tension, ease the anxiety in her mind. So she made the decision to do it because for some reason this was going to help her getting behind the wheel drunk. There was an argument. There was the argument with a male. There's another male in the vehicle where they were bickering and yelling, which might explain in some ways the inattention. Well, I would have argued that no, this didn't explain the inattention. It was the 0.186 blood alcohol level that explains the inattention. You were drunk. He submitted that Lowry's ADHD diagnosis. Oh my goodness, really? How many excuses? How much of a victim is she? She had an unexpected death in her family. They don't tell you who it was. It could have been her second cousin's aunt, twice removed. But it was unexpected. And it was 5 months ago. So she was thinking about that, obviously. She had a panic attack. She was arguing with a male. So I'm going to say she was arguing with her boyfriend in the car because she was drunk and she wasn't watching the road. She hit someone, but she also has ADHD. So she is just the ultimate victim. He submitted that Larry's ADHD diagnosis in combination with the alcohol consumed had also impacted her ability to rationalize. No, just the fact that she was drunk, you idiot. Hey, do you think she's probably looking at this photo going, oh, yeah, I'm quite happy with this photo. Look at that. Windswept hair. Kennedy said his client had basically gone cold turkey and stopped drinking following the incident. Here's this part. The court heard Lowry, she had no criminal traffic history in Queensland, but had been convicted in New South Wales, aged 19, of driving while suspended and over the middle alcohol limit. all of these things, and yet the judge still decided that he would give 3 years jail with immediate parole. See, we are under the perception that jail is used for reform. That, if you don't, it's only used to reform, but it's also used, and it should be used, as a punishment. And this is part of the problem that we have. We don't use it just as what it was initially intended for, as a punishment for doing the wrong thing. The old verse, spare the rod and spoil the child. That is exactly what we've done with our younger generations. We've constantly, parents, society, our schools, we spare the rod, and we've ended up with a society of young people that do not take responsibility for their actions. Jail sentences need to be handed out, not just to help someone become reformed, but to punish people and remind people this individual had history of drink driving. So she'd made the same decision, very similar decision, 8 years earlier. Did she have ADHD then as well, apparently? Was she suffering from the loss of a family member back then as well? Or is this just proof that she is someone that doesn't learn from her mistakes and doesn't care about the rest of society and is very selfish with her actions? She is too busy considering herself. She doesn't consider other people. That is why people like this need to serve time in jail and need to be punished. But we consistently spare the rod, and we have spoilt children driving drunk in our streets, causing mayhem. That's all my opinion. I'm Jay Fallon. Thanks for listening to The Slippery Slope.
They just fuel the desire that will take me higher. I'm on fire because nothing's gonna bring me down. Nothing's gonna bring me down. Nothing's gonna stop me now. No more deals to be done. No more selling out my soul just to focus on the goal. Nothing's gonna stop me now. Nothing's gonna hold me down. Got my eye on the prize, gonna set on the clouds and tears. Don't say nothing's gonna bring me down. Nothing's gonna stop me now. No more deals to be done. No more selling out my soul just to focus on the goal. Nothing's gonna stop me now. Nothing's gonna hold me down. Got my eye on the prize, gonna set